including Egypt, who have been launching an air campaign against Daesh militant group in Syria and in Iraq. At least 30 Egyptians, mostly soldiers, were killed in the violence. However, an official death toll has yet to be released. Sinai-based militant group Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis has claimed responsibility for the deadly attacks. John Kyson, the British ambassador to Egypt, said earlier this month that the UK would stand by the people of the Middle East to confront Daesh, their allies, and the poisonous ideology of the violent extremism. Mr. Mustafa, how would you evaluate the international reaction on these terrorist attacks on Egypt now?
I see that the exact reaction is only giving slogans. We want action. Britain says that they do not agree about what happened, but unfortunately they have terrorists living on their land. You see. So the point is that unless positive action and action plans and not slogans only and talking and doing nothing, we need action plans in order to combat these terrorists.
Mustafa, do you think that the terrorist incidents that we witness here in Egypt, in Syria, in Libya, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole, are actually perceived differently for the West and Europe, the United States, the United Nations, than an incident which we took notice of, which is the Charlie Hebdo attack, and about 17 French citizens were killed in those attacks. Do you think there's a misconception the people who are dying here in Egypt are kind of the same people who are dying there in France and in the West?
Yes, I think there is a misconception actually, and again, I'm reinforcing that it is a worldwide community responsibility in order to fight this danger, because it's going to turn after that to the United States and to Europe. If you remember, the late King Abdullah said that these actions will turn out to the United States and to Europe as it happens.
Mr. Mustafa Tamam, the political analyst, thank you very much for being with us today over the phone in the World Today, and turning from Egypt to Palestine and Israel. From the Daily Star of Lebanon, Palestinians say that the West Bank are killed by the Israeli soldiers. Palestinian security officials said on Sunday that the Israeli soldiers shot dead a Palestinian late on Saturday near Nablus in the north of the occupied West Bank. They said Ahmed al-Najjar was killed and another man was wounded by live fire during a clash with the Israeli forces. Earlier, the Israeli large Arab minority closed shops and schools from the northern Galilee to the southern Negev desert on Tuesday as part of a day-long strike to protest against the death of two Arab men in incidents involving Israeli police. Sami al-Jar, who's 20, was shot dead by officers during the drugs raid, which triggered protests in the southern town of Rahat on Thursday. Police have not said why Jar, who was unarmed, was shot, other than he took part in riots. And turning to the Washington Times with the main headline saying, and again with Daesh and militancy in the Middle East and the Arab region, the Daesh group beheads Japanese journalist. An online video released on Saturday night purported to show a Daesh group militant behead Japanese journalist Kenji Goto, ending days of negotiations by the diplomats to save the man. The video released on the militant websites and highlighted the militant sympathizers on the social media sites bore the symbol of Daesh group's Al-Furqan media arm. Though the video could not be immediately independently verified by the Associated Press, it conformed to other beheading videos released by the extremists, who now control a third of both Syria and neighboring Iraq in the self-declared Caliphate. The video, called a message to the government of Japan, featured a militant who looked and sounded like a militant with a British accent who was taking part in other beheading videos by Daesh group. Goto, kneeling in an orange prison jumpsuit, said nothing in the roughly 1 minute-long video. Earlier, Jordan and Japan reportedly conducted indirect negotiations with the militants through Iraqi tribal leaders. And we return once again to Egypt, and we return once again to fighting and combating terrorism and militancy in Egypt as a whole and in Sinai to be particular, with Mr. or Ambassador Ibrahim al-Shuwaini, the political analyst. Ambassador Ibrahim, thank you very much for being with us today on The World Today over the phone. Ambassador Ibrahim al-Shuwaini?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you well.
Yes, Ambassador Ibrahim, the main theme of this episode, of course, to be talking more about fighting terrorism, the attacks which occurred in Sinai on Thursday, targeting the police and the army installations and personnel in Sinai on Thursday. What is your first comment regarding those attacks and the reaction of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces?
We have to condemn this kind of act, and it is not the first time that they do like that. And they are the group of the what's called Islamic groups. They are similar to the Qaeda. They are similar to Daesh. They are similar to all these kind of Ansar al-Sharia, the Bane of Islam in Libya, whatever the names are. All of them are terrorists. We have to tell that they are very, very terrorists and criminals, and they don't have any kind of human feelings, because killing for killing, and especially in Egypt, they intend to kill the army personnel and also the police personnel. This means that they want to fight the state itself, not to kill only people, because for example, in some places they are killing like in Iraq, in Syria, fighters are killing fighters, but here in Egypt they are not killing fighters. No, they are killing people. They are killing, and the Egyptian army consists of the citizens of Egypt. So they are killing as if they are killing all the Egyptian population. So we have to condemn them thoroughly, and we, as President Sisi declared, that it is the terrorism prevailing all over the world, not only in Egypt, but it is now in Nigeria, it is now in Niger, it is now in Libya, it is now in Iraq, it is now in Syria. How many countries I can count? You know, this is something very ugly, and we want all the governments of the world to come together to fight all these kind of terrorism.
Ambassador Ibrahim al-Shuwaini, how efficient the new measures taken by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces in Sinai are going to be taking control of Sinai, to be battling the militants, to be defeating and uprooting terrorism in Sinai? How efficient are the measures would be in
I believe this kind of measures, and I want, even as an Egyptian citizen, and I want even to be more hard on this terrorists and terrorism in general. You know, it is good that to also declare the emergency state, and even I will go more, and I can say that martial law must be declared. In fact, we are in the real war. Everyone must understand that real war, either to win it or not to win. And we as Egyptian people and our army decided to win this war, and our president said that we will win it. So all measures which can go in this way must be taken. So we have to be aside with our president, and we encourage him to be very hard and very strong hand on these criminals which are killing our brothers and our fathers and our sons. No, we cannot accept that. They have to go more hard, even I say again, to the state of emergency or the martial law even.
So how would you see the attitude of the human rights organizations in Egypt and outside Egypt regarding those attacks?
You know, even if some of them declared that against these kind of acts. But I don't want this. I want them to always say that we are beside. We have to declare this point, as I say. We are beside the army and we are beside the police in their fighting against terrorism, not only to condemn the act. No. They have to declare very clearly that they are beside the Egyptian army and the Egyptian police against this kind of terrorism. Not only to condemn by kind of statement or so. No, they have to come and declare that they are doing everything and they are going also to support the army and the police by all means. This is what we want. And in fact, in the outside world, in the newspapers or declarations, or even the states who declared or made a statement condemning, I want these states not to take shelter for this terrorism. I want them not to support them and to give them residence cards in their country. I want them to stop the transfer of arms and personnel and money. This is I want real action, not just statements and statements. This is what I want to see from them.
Ambassador President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also said during his speech that we are seeing parts of right now on the screen, that he said, and I quote, "We know you and we know who supports you," and he's speaking to the terrorists, of course, and the militants. So who do you think President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is referring to?
These groups, unfortunately, they are from Egyptians. They are from other nationalities. Look for that. This is very important because Assad nationalities is working as mercenaries. You'll find some Europeans. You'll find some people from Africa, some people